So welcome to today's webinar on OKCareerGuide, using that as a tool for educational and career planning transitions, particularly in alt-ed situations. I'm very thankful that the State Department of Education has invited us to be here today. And I do come from a school counselor alt-ed background, so when you hear me speak today, I might talk a lot about if I were back at a site or kind of some of my experience and how I might utilize some of these things. So we're just going to go ahead and get started today. So OKCareerGuide is our online career development platform in the state of Oklahoma, sponsored by the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education. And so it is offered to all Oklahomans at no cost for them to kind of assess where they're at, and wherever that may be in their career development process, no matter what their age is, they can use that tool to help them transition and meet their goals and reach that next step. So today I hope to give you some information about the system and then even go in live as well. This is just a short video kind of showing you a little bit more about Oklahoma Career Guide and how that's being used out in our schools.
The Oklahoma Career Guide helps students identify what their career interests, career skills, and career values are, and then use that as a springboard to exploring the different kind of careers and career paths that they would be interested in exploring and then pursuing. There are great young people out there ready to go to work, ready to be successful, and we get to help with that. We get to help lay out the path on how they reach their dreams.
OKCareerGuide is your starting point for career discovery. It allows you to understand your skills, your interests, your values, and how those translate to an academic path as well as a career direction. For students to have a chance to identify a career direction, an academic major early on in their collegiate experience gives them so much more confidence. They have a purpose, and so much of our identity is wrapped up into our purpose. And so by using the OKCareerGuide, they're able to put language to what makes them unique.
There are many ways that the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education supports the growth of the economy in the state. One of those ways is through OKCareerGuide, making sure that students know what opportunities are available to them, what their own personal interests, skills, and work values are, and then making sure that we make those connections for students so they have the opportunity to decide if this is really the career field that they want to pursue, and then gain that educational attainment for those careers. Whether you are a middle school student, a high school student, or an Oklahoma adult resident, you can have an account, and it's customized to where you are in your career development process.
I have one student who was not the best student, and he was a senior, and I had seen him in class. We'd gone over OKCareerGuide, what do you want to do, what do you want to be. Through the implementation of having career guidance, I saw this student go from a F/D student to graduating and walking. He wasn't going to walk, but he was able to kind of pull it together, get enough credits to walk across the stage, and to see his face when he received that diploma, and to hear his story when he told me, I got into the tech school, I got into the program I wanted to do. That was a result of the career planning.
One of the most important things in life is learning what you yourself like to do. And if you learn at a young age what you like to do, you can become unstoppable, because once you know who you are and what you want to do, why would you stop working at it?
So let's go ahead and move forward and find out how you can use the system to help students in that career development process, especially when you're working with students at times of transition. And so I would be thinking about my intake process at my alternative education school, the application process, and even the transition for when they leave us as well. So I think this system can be used throughout those time frames. So one of the things that we want students to do is to take an assessment Then explore their occupations and majors that are available to them based off of the interest assessment. Begin to plan for their education. Begin to plan for work, kind of try on what that might look like, as well as kind of thinking about how you're going to find a job and do you need some job shadowing or internship experience. So walking through that more detailed, there are 3 assessments inside OKCareerGuide. So when they take an assessment, they can take a career interest assessment. What am I interested in? What do I like? And then it's going to give them some feedback on that, as well as a skills confidence assessment. So what do I think I'm really confident in my skills? And so those are more apt to change because I might really like health sciences, but I don't really have a lot of skills in that. And that's okay, because once I enroll in a program and once I'm exposed to it, even through job shadowing or an introduction course, I'm going to gain those skills and that confidence, as well as a work values assessment. So I love the work values assessment, even doing it with your staff, because we all have things that we want to get out of a work environment. And so there are 12 work values, and it will show you your ranking, and they are things from creativity to prestige and income, all sorts of things. So hopefully we can show that live later. Then we want students to explore by their own personalized interest assessment results. We want them to really begin to look at what is their area of interest and what does that mean, what options are out there for them as far as occupations and majors. So expose themselves to a little bit more than what they may have come across in their life already within their own community. They also can begin to create their own career, academic, and personal goals. So if goal setting is a part of your alt-ed plan and your program, there is a place in here for students to write those goals, categorize them, and then even create steps to reach those goals. So it's a great tool to integrate into that process of how you teach students to write a SMART goal and then how to follow up with that. They can also begin to look at sample education plans, using that earlier example. If I think I'm going to go into health sciences, what are some sample education plans? What kind of classes should I be looking at? And then I can create my own ed plan, my own MyEd plan, or some of you call it a personalized education plan or an individualized learning plan. But MyEd plan is what it's called on the system of OKCareerGuide, and this will allow them to plot out that sequence of courses and then get some feedback from their counselors and advisors on, is this the best route for me? So having some real meaningful career conversations around that. There also is a place, this is really under that planning for work, to connect to business. And so Connect to Business will offer job shadowing and internship opportunities for students within their particular area of interest so they can see what's really available here in Oklahoma. Also, education can connect to business for career speakers and industry tours. So when I really think about my time in alt-ed, making sure that we have that community involvement and connection, this Connect to Business piece would have been very helpful in doing that. And so later I will show you, you can run a spreadsheet and you can find out which of these businesses in Oklahoma have used OKCareerGuide and Connect to Business and are willing and ready. Their doors are open. They just want you to call them. They're willing to come out and be a speaker. They're willing to give your students a tour of the industry. And also, when we're planning for work and we're planning to go find a job, we need to begin to create a resume and create cover letters. And it really walks students through that step by step. What should my resume look like? It chunks the work for them. It's really great. They also can begin to create an e-profile. And so they can begin to advocate for their future and their career pathway, and they have their own place to share that and show that from. It might be something that you even begin to have them create from day one when they do the intake interview with you, sharing their e-profile. So we'll get into that a bit more later. So what you're seeing right now inside the Shape of Oklahoma, these are the 16 career clusters. And so all the work that students do with the assessments inside OKCareerGuide are geared towards aligning the student to these clusters. which cluster do I fit in the most? Where do my interests lie? Where do my skills lie? And so that's just an example of what it looks like inside the system. So those icons are used throughout to educate, to help students explore, as well as begin to identify where their interests lie. So we like students to take that assessment, and then perhaps as a student, I align really well with health sciences. Then I need to start thinking about a 1, 2, 4 or more. So if I click on the options after high school tab, when we get inside the system, I'll show you that. But it shows me, hey Erica, here is your health science careers, is your #1 career cluster, and here would be a 1-year program. What jobs are available for you straight out of high school with a certificate? What jobs are available to you if you go to a 2-year school or a technical school? And then what are your options for a 4-year, a bachelor's program, and then more? So within my interest area, it will show me that. This is the homepage of OKCareerGuide, if you've not gone to that yet, okcareerguide.org. And so students will simply click on that gray Create Account button if they've not created one before, and it walks them through a 4-step process. If they already have an account, then they will click in the Sign In Account button and just sign into what they previously had. Once they sign into their account, this is a little bit about what they're going to see. So this is Sally Johnson. We can see that she's a 10th grader. And when we look at this visually, if we will divide this up in 3 sections, over here on the left-hand side, we have Things to Do and My Portfolio Items, all under the Home tab. Here in the core, the middle, this is the core of what we do inside OKCareerGuide, and we have 3 assessments: the Career Interest Assessment, the Skills Competence Assessment, and that Work Values Assessment that shows students out of those 12 work values, what do they value most. And so these fancy graphs that you see here, they are because Sally has already completed those assessments. Also over here on the far right-hand side, we see My Next Steps. And so these are kind of whispers to Sally. Hopefully her counselors and her teachers and her parents are kind of nudging her along the way in this career development process as she's making decisions and determining which direction she's going to go. But also, My Next Steps are whispering to her, hey, retake or review your results of the Skills Confidence Assessment. And so they can take these as many times as they want to, and it will save it historically down here under Review Assessments. So anything that she took in 9th grade is still going to be down here under Review Assessments. When we dig into her interest results, we see these tabs across the top. They're going to allow Sally to look at what she's interested in. So first we see her top 3 pathways. And you only see 3 pathways, but it actually will show 5 pathways there. And so that's what it looks like for Sally: marketing management, travel and tourism, administration and administrative support, as well as human resources management and marketing and communications. Now that's looking at it through the pathway route. But you see down at the very bottom, it also says you can view by national career cluster ranking. And this is what that view looks like, which is going to be a little different. There we go. So you can see almost all of those. There's 16. We see down to 11. We can still see a lot of teal and purple for Sally, but we also see an interest in arts and video technology and communications as well. And then we'll look at the rest of those 16. And so there from 12 down, we can kind of see she ranks a little lower with transportation, distribution, science, technology, engineering and math, manufacturing, architect and construction. So her interests really lie more in the marketing area. All of those tabs are clickable links. So when you look at number 9, education and training, it's kind of a medium interest for her. But she could click on that education and training, and it will take her to information about that cluster. So when they do click on one of those areas, they then can begin to explore occupations. Also on the left-hand side, just another way to get there. So exploring occupations for Sally, she's really wanting to look at public relations and fundraising managers. And so she's decided, I think this might be something I want to know more about. So we kind of call this the Wikipedia page for that occupation. And so she can toggle between here's an overview, and there's a video for her to play. She can look at task and conditions, interest, skills, and work values, education and experience, the salary and outlook for the job. So very important when you're working with students on real life skills, on will this occupation be able to pay my bills, and what will that life look like? So great piece to integrate into your personal financial literacy, as well as related occupations. So what's really related to being a public relations manager, and any additional information, which often that additional information will take them out to a professional organization for that occupation. So as Sally begins to dig into her results and really start looking at occupations, she might start to think, I really like this one. And so you can see up here, she has saved that to favorite occupations because that star is yellow. When we go to the next page, if she had a list, so this is a list of actual, this is a list of actual schools that offer that major that she's looking at. She can turn that gray star, Mid-America Christian University, she can turn that gray star to gold, and it will save it in her favorites. So she begins to identify, I really like this one. It kind of saves it off to the side where her parents can also have access to that and see that, as well as her teachers, counselors, and advisors. So there is a lot on here to explore, and if you are new to the system, you might be thinking, wow, there's a lot here, I really need to spend some time in this. But beyond students having an account and taking an assessment and them exploring on their own, there is also a way for you to really have some meaningful career conversations as a group with your students, and also enhance the life skills that you're offering students. And that's through the Direct Your Future curriculum. So inside OKCareerGuide, on the school side, there is a curriculum called Direct Your Future. There are 11 modules. They are aligned to the ASCA, American School Counselor Association, Mindsets and Behaviors for College and Career Readiness, as well as the National Career Development Association guidelines. This Direct Your Future curriculum includes many lectures. It is turnkey ready, add water and stir. It has the PowerPoint, the activity. It is scripted for teachers so that you can really begin to have some meaningful career conversations, as well as allow your students to articulate their interest, give feedback to others, begin to work in a group, and kind of really build on those life and soft skills together. It also is offered at no cost to all Oklahoma schools, so there's almost no prep time, so it's there ready to go for you. So that might be something that you do in a Teachers as Advisors program or in a life skill lesson time, but there's also subject lesson plans. So how will the art teacher or the social studies teacher or the science teacher integrate the use of OKCareerGuide? Lesson plans are already there, scripted and ready for them to use. So that might be a really great access and resource for alt ed programs in integrating that direct instruction. So now we're back in Sally's account. The other thing that is very helpful when we're talking with students about will your occupation be able to sustain the life that you're really wanting, this Finance 101 piece can really help them with those life skills and those personal financial literacy skills. So Finance 101 is on the left-hand side under Plan for Education. And so you don't quite see it. It's right here under this Learn About Financial Aid. But there are 9 chapters here. And when we expand this open and we would see Chapter 1, Bank Basics, the students would have a lot of information to read as well as an activity for them to do. So great enhancement to your life skills. Earlier, I talked to you about creating a goal. And so as you have students come in through your intake process, one of the things that you might already be doing is having them create a goal. And if I think back to my time in alt ed as a school counselor, a lot of times the goal would be, I want to catch up and graduate with my class. Great, work with that to begin with. And so from here, they can create that goal. And they can put what type of goal that is, and they can categorize it. Is it career? Is it personal? Is it academic? And then they can add a step. But if you also look down here, they can add additional steps. So maybe there's other steps to this goal as well. So maybe it's just completing, maybe I have 5 courses I'm behind on credits, and I include those each as a step. Or maybe I break it down even further. So however you're teaching those students about goal setting, you can do that there. So maybe having them start with, yes, I want to graduate with my class on time, but then what's next? And so really talking to them about that 1, 2, 4 or more. And maybe the next goal is, you know, it says I'm really high in health sciences as an interest. What about doing some job shadowing? And kind of expanding my goal to moving beyond graduation. The other thing that students are able to see when we even talk about job shadowing is, where are they going to find that? How are they going to do that? And it is this connect to business piece. So on the left-hand side, you can see Sally is looking at connect to business, and currently she is searching businesses. And so Sally can see all the businesses that we have in Oklahoma who have signed up for Connect to Business. She can click on one of these businesses. For example, let's take Dell. They aligned themselves to information technology as the cluster that their major work occurs in. And when she clicks on Dell, she is going to see business information about Dell. What is their mission? What's their website? But also, once Dell begins to put opportunities out there, Sally will be able to see, hey, Dell's going to have a job shadowing day, or Dell has an internship that she could put her name in for there. And so they really can begin to align with industries that they have a particular interest in Oklahoma. The other thing that we touched on was kind of planning for education. And so students also can begin to create that personalized education plan, or that individualized learning plan, or, you know, we're hearing a lot about ICAP in the state of Oklahoma. This is that sequence of courses, and so they can begin to take a sample education plan that aligns to the 16 clusters, and then enter their courses 7th grade through 2 years post-secondary. So they can really plot out what it is they think they might want to take, and then have some feedback from parents, career advisors, counselors, teachers, etc. So Sally is working on her ed plan, and she expands open to see the courses that are there. They are categorized for her. So she has expanded open the 10th grade, and these are the categories. All the courses in Oklahoma are already uploaded for your students. So once she clicks on language arts, she's going to see all the courses that are available for her to take, and she can click that on her My Ed plan, and it's there for her to look at. We also talked about getting students ready, creating a resume. Many of you might already be doing that, and probably are within your English classes or before they exit your alt ed program. Maybe you're wanting them to have a resume. This resume builder can really help streamline that process for them, and it also allows them to have different format styles and resume styles. It chunks the work for them, which is one of the favorite things that I like about it. So instead of looking at a blank Word document, Sally is going to come in here, and these little appish looking buttons at the bottom that say summary, work experience, education, skills, certifications, language, honors and awards, and organizations, she can click that add button, and she can begin to add things to her resume. So it's not as overwhelming as looking at a blank document. Sometimes this is difficult for students. We all went to school somewhere. That's a great place to start. Okay, first add your education. And so then they can get more comfortable with it on their own and begin to create their resumes. It follows them. So once Sally leaves your alt ed program and goes back to the high school, or once she leaves your program and enters the workforce or a post-secondary school, this resume can follow her, as well as this e-profile. And so this is Sally's e-profile, It's a website that she can send to people, and it tells a little bit about her. Currently, developmentally appropriate for Sally in 10th grade is for her to really talk about, these are my favorite occupations, these are my favorite schools, favorite pathways, favorite pathways that align to her career confidence, as well as her resume and documents. So if she creates something in one of her classes or programs, she can upload documents that really highlight her experience and her level of work and what work samples look like for Sally. So even within the intake process, I wonder if I was back at a school site, if I would be using this and having students share with the intake committee, tell us a little bit about yourself. What are your favorite occupations? Because really our end game is not that we want someone to gain those credits, but we really want a holistic citizen that is passionate about something and is ready to give back to our state. Another way to do that is to engage parents. And so there is a parent engagement piece within OKCareerGuide. So when I was at an alt-ed site and we were doing intake, parents would attend with them a lot of times because we requested that. Having parents sign up for the parent portal, they are able to see all their students' assessment results. They can see their MyEd plans, as well as a 15-page guide that's really going to empower them on how to walk through this 7-step process and have meaningful career conversations with their students. This is a little view of what Sally's parent account looks like. And so Sally sent an invitation to her parents, and then they created an account. Even if Sally's parents have 3 other children, they're still going to have this one account, and they can just add additional students with the additional access code that the student sends to the parent. And so they can log in and look at, what are Sally's career interest assessments say? What type of schools is she looking at? Has she started a resume, and what did she put on it? So it really empowers the parent to be a part of this process. Here's a little bit more about our Connect to Business platform and how our community is using that.
Some of the benefits of Connect to Business and the Oklahoma Department of Career Tech partnership enable students to actually look at businesses that are available in their specific area, their region, and across the state. You can look at opportunities for internships, apprenticeships. So the title really says it all. It connects the business to the student and to the community.
We are so excited about Connect to Business. There are a handful of options immediately available for my students. Some of them come in and they just want to know, in general, what does it take to be career ready. Some of them come in and say, yes, and I need a job now. Having that piece still in the same system with the same login connected to all of their other information is huge. The better informed we can be as students and then employees and then potentially employers. If we are keeping people in Oklahoma and they are doing what they love, I think we're all more productive.
As a student, trying to find a job is really difficult. I just graduated, and so looking at businesses, I look at them online and check out their website, trying to figure out who they are and what they're about, and it really helps to be a student and to already kind of know which businesses you'd kind of like to interview with and work for.
To me, it just makes sense that business would want to use the Connect to Business piece. Our students are already using OKCareerGuide to explore careers and training programs that are available. We are wanting our students to stay here and find jobs locally.
This is a fantastic tool that provides the student an opportunity to look at themselves to find out, hey, this is something that I'm interested in, it's something I would like to do. Students are better prepared, more focused on what they want to do, and as we do that, more students are working, more students are provided opportunities to be successful and give back to their community, and it builds the economy that way.
I think the Connect to Business component of OKCareerGuide is a great tool for us to come together in Oklahoma, and this career development work is not so much just the work of pre-K-12 education, or it's not just the work of technology centers, or it's not just the work of colleges, but it's the work of everyone. It's brought this community together, and we've started talking about what career development should look like for all students and for all Oklahomans, pre-K through adult, and that if we can help them find their unique strengths and pathways, there is a place for them in this world, and there is a place for them in Oklahoma to contribute and to build a better future for all of us.
So Carly, the intern that you saw, the marketing intern that you saw in the video, much like Sally, our student, our fake student that we've been looking at today, she probably had a large interest as she took that interest assessment in those marketing pathways. And as we build Connect to Business, students like Carly will be able to see, okay, we do have Halliburton, they're a business, but they also have a marketing department. How could I fit in there? And so Carly's been able to do that at Ditch Witch. And so we're very excited about those opportunities with Connect to Business. But as well, at your school site, on the school side of OKCareerGuide, you will be able to click on your Connect to Business tab inside the ADMS system, and you can view and manage business profiles and opportunities. And so how that's really valuable for you at an alt-ed site is that you can see the businesses that have signed up for Connect to Business, the industry that they align with, but you can also run a report that is going to tell you, hey, Dell is willing to do this. So let's see, Ditch Witch, that's the business we just highlighted. They're willing to have speakers visit schools to discuss opportunities. They're willing to give tours of their business. They're willing to loan equipment out to schools, as well as they're willing to come out and participate in your career or job fair. So they're already there. They're already giving their information. It's a list of folks that you can bring in when you start talking about the exposure and the exploring careers. That is on the Administrative Database Management System. So you may have heard me say a couple of times, ADMS. The way that you have access to ADMS is through your local OKCareerGuide advocate or administrator. So each school site has one of those. If you ask around and you cannot find out who that is, this 1-877-999-6227 number at the bottom of this screen, they are there. Client engagement is there to help you with live problems on the system if you incur those, as well as determining who your local OKCareerGuide admin is. And so you will get an access code and an organizational password from your local admin, and you will create an educator account just by going to OKCareerGuide and clicking on that gray button that we showed earlier. Inside the ADMS account, there are also reports, so you can gain a lot of data about your students. What are they interested in? What are they looking at? And what are they doing? So from the Home tab, this is the view that you would see of your school. And so this is one of our fake schools, and so I can see I have about 2,300 students who have registered, and I can also see a breakdown visually of what are their interests. So I have a lot of students that are interested in things such as public and government administration, law enforcement, human services, education and training. And so I can begin to help them and foster those career development processes for them. But there's also other things, other reports that you can look at. You can see that second tab there says reports. One of those reports is an advanced core report. And so again, this is just really giving me information about what my students are interested in as a whole. This report is my whole school, but I could look at just my graduating class of 2020, or I could look at just my females. Do I have a large interest of females in information technology and STEM? If I don't, and I'm having interventions such as a summer camp or special speakers coming in, I'm going to really want to target them with messages inside the system to make sure that they participate in those things. So a lot of information that can really lead and inform your programs. I can see who has registered. So let's say I push into the classroom and I register students. These are all my students who registered today. But I also can play with that selection criteria and change that date range. I can look at, who are the students who registered last week or last academic year, etc. Another report is I can look and see who has taken an assessment. So perhaps one of my performance measures is that I want all students to take an assessment by September 1 or by their first week that they're in our alt ed program. And so I can really look at that and drill down and see who has and has not done that. As well as who has started or has submitted a My Education plan. So there are two types of reports here that you're seeing. One is just showing you the numbers. Here are the number of students who have not started. Here are the number of students who have completed. I have 8 that are pending approval, and I have 0 that have been approved. And so I can run that list. And so what you see at the bottom are the list of students who have submitted for approval, and they are pending. And so I know BIV has submitted. I'm going to click into BIV's My Ed plan and review that and either approve it, or I might deny it and give her some feedback. So it keeps track of that feedback as well as sends a message to the student. It also can help with my course projections. So what are students planning on enrolling in the next few years? What is the high interest? What classes are they really interested in? We also talked about this career development process as kind of sending them out the door when they leave us with a resume, with something that they're ready to hit the ground running if they need to join the workforce or continue to build on as they seek additional post-secondary education. But part of that might be we want all students to have a resume by their May 1 of their junior year, and we're going to review that. So this is a job prep tools report, and it shows us who has completed a resume and where they are in that process. There is our contact information. My name is Erica Harris. I am the OKCareerGuide coordinator. We did just bring on AJ Kroll. He is our career development specialist and is very specifically working on Connect to Business in the state of Oklahoma, as well as Kelly Arrington, who is the manager of our division at Career Tech, Career and Academic Connections. So we do a lot of work with school counselors, career advisors, job placement specialists, and as well as training schools on using OKCareerGuide. I do want to go live into the system and answer any questions that you have or talk about some of the things in greater detail that I might be doing if I was at a school. It looks like we have about 20 minutes to do that. So if you have questions as I start going live, if you could ask those as we go along. I'm just going to click into the internet browser, and I'm going to type in OKCareerGuide.org. I've already created an account, so I'm going to sign in to my fake student account. So this is little Erica. And you can see my view looks a little different than what it did as you saw it. So I'm going to change it up here. There we go. That kind of looks like what you saw in the video. So one of the very first things that I would have students do is come right up here where it says Welcome Erica, because we want to gain that parent engagement and we want them to participate in this process. So every time, whether students are in my class and I'm walking them through creating an account, or we've already created an account and this is like their 10th time logging on and we're really digging in and doing resumes, I'm still going to ask them, have you invited your parent? And click on Account Settings under Welcome Erica, and we're going to scroll to the bottom. This is everything that I use to register with demographically. And you can see here's my school, ODCTE training, but I could click on that and change my school if I needed to, or my grade level. But then here are the parents. These are folks in my village that I have invited to have a parent account. And if I'll click on the pencil here, I can invite another parent to have an account. So we'll just invite my supervisor here real quick. And so there is her access code. I could send it to her via email or via text message. One of the things, if I was back at a school site, I might have an index card, and on the back of it, it might have some information about a parent night or a career planning night, or maybe a parent university that you're getting ready to host. But as well as I'd have that student write down that access code so they could hand it to their parent. But once I send this code to her, my new parent, Kelly Arrington, it's going to send her an email. And then she magically pops up down here at the bottom. So if later she asks me about that code, if I will just, again, go under Account Settings, I'm going to be able to find that down here. So that's how they can invite their parent to have an account. I'm going to go back home. So we look at the main screen from the home page. And please make sure that you type in any questions that you might have. One of the major things that I would have students do if I was back at a site working, and particular if I was working at an alt-ed site, is really starting with this career interest assessment. And so maybe I might make that part of my entrance process. Maybe when they come for the intake interview, if they haven't already created an account, they could take that interest assessment so that when I sit down and talk with them, we're really talking about who they are and what they want. And so it really motivates them to engage in this process. But the other thing that I would do as we click into exploring this interest assessment here is look at this Person Matches tab. And so when we click on Person Matches, this is telling little Erica, here are the folks who really relate to who you are and kind of your questions that you answered. And so if you look at this, I find this very interesting. One of the people that it matches me with is a counselor at a community college. Okay, that's very similar to what I've done. A radio broadcaster. I do remember in college job shadowing a radio broadcaster for the day and asking questions. And so maybe they don't have access to someone who is doing that job. I definitely would not, maybe currently, and definitely did not in high school, have access to someone who is a mediator. I didn't even know what that was. If I will click on that job, it is a favorite person match for me. And so it matches me with a mediator who has already conducted an interview with someone. So what type of work do you handle as a mediator? A mediator has answered that question for them. What type of challenges do you face in this career? What do you like best about your job? What are you planning to do next? That's a great question, because then they're really talking about, yeah, I'm a mediator, but this is my next career goal. Like, individual career and academic planning is a lifelong process. So what is this person who's been a mediator for 15 or 20 years, what are they looking forward to next? And I can see students dressing up as their favorite person match for the day. And maybe they're going to dress up as a mediator. What would a mediator wear to work professionally? What type of school would a mediator go to here in Oklahoma? And then they can really present that information out to their peers. And so then they're visualizing what it would be like to be a mediator, what it would be like to get prepared to be a mediator. And so they're owning it. They're trying it on. And so it's easier for them to see who they want to be when they put that on and try that out and visualize and dream about that for a day. So a great thing to do in an alt-ed program. I could even see them going down to lower grades and doing some outreach for the day. And so maybe I'm a mediator. That's my favorite person match. And we're going to go down to an elementary or a junior high, and for career day, we're going to present that out to them. And we're going to tell them, here is our favorite occupation so far. I plan to be a mediator. This is how I'm going to do that. And so they're really trying that on and almost pretending to be that person for the day. So that's something that I would do if I was back at a school site. I'm just going to go back with my browser button. And when I do that, it just takes me back to that assessment page where it gives me all sorts of information based off my assessment. In the PowerPoint presentation, we looked at the assessment results, but and it gave a lot of information about the pathway and the cluster, but they also can look at majors, so college majors that are related to what it is they want to do. And so you can see I have this education level filled out as doctorate or professional degree, but they can switch that up. So they could change it to less than high school. They could change it to a GED. They could change it to on-the-job training. So really having them try on and look at different levels of education. And then I can favorite those things as I go throughout here and decide one of them is one of my favorite things that I want to look at. I do want to take you to back to the home page and make sure that I show you this Explore Occupations. Actually, it's Explore Majors. And under Explore Majors, there is this Advisory Summary Report. And when you click on that, it allows the student to print a report, but it shows kind of where they're at, what they've investigated, what they've looked at, what they're kind of thinking about. So this shows my favorite pathways, anything that I've turned from gray to gold, my favorite clusters, my favorite majors, I have a bit more there, and my favorite occupations. And so this would be one of those great tools in the intake process or the advisory process when we're working with students on what it is they're wanting to explore and do next. Looking at this with them as they enter our program and set those goals so they can print that. There are reports that you can print from their side as well, but I like them digging in and printing this out as part of their process in onboarding to the alt-ed program. I mentioned goals, and we talked about that a bit in the presentation as well. My goals are right down here, and so when we click on my goals, maybe my first goal, you can see I've kind of played around in here and created some of those, but you can see a goal name, a goal type, a category, and is it completed yet? And I can dig into those and edit them and mark them as completed as we go. So I could add a goal here, and my first goal, like I mentioned earlier, is to catch up with, graduating class. So sometimes I would hear students say that in their intake interview. And so that goal is really going to be a current goal, high school goal, but that's a current goal. And that really may be personal, but it is very academic because I do need to catch up on those credits. And then I can begin to create steps and create deadlines for them. And I can add additional steps, and I can save that. Oh, we need to enter something here. Let's remove that one. Let's enter enroll in alt-ed program. It's going to be a productive day. I'm going to do that by today. So I can save that, and then you can see that that goal is there. So you could also have them set other goals, like a job shadowing goal by a certain deadline, taking the ACT by a certain deadline. If there are things in your alt-ed program that you always ask students to do, have them enter that goal here, and then ask them how they're going to reach that goal. What are their steps? One of the things that I failed to mention is this little blurb about read more about goal setting. And so it just really reminds them it needs to be a SMART goal and what that means and how do you get to something that's achievable and relevant, and then that it's time bound. So I like that step. The other thing that I wanted to touch on, of course, the e-profile we'll go back to in a minute, but when I go back to the home page, this work values assessment, you can see it's at a 0% because I accidentally clicked retake at some point. But if I'll go down here to the historical assessment, so this is everything that I've ever taken in my student account, I can see the super work values inventory right here that I took in February. Oh no, my results are not showing up. Let's see if I have another one. let's log out of here for a minute. If you have any questions, please feel free to type those into the chat box, and I'll make sure that we address them. I do have to remember my password. It's important. So this person is a 7th grader, and they only have access to 2 assessments, the interest assessment and the skills confidence assessment. That 9th grade work values assessment the work values assessment is going to become available to them in 9th grade. So it kind of grows with them, and they have access to more things. Oh, and there magically pops up that work values assessment. So if we'll look at those work values, there are the 12 work values that I mentioned earlier: coworkers, variety, prestige, supervision, independence, workplace achievement. You can see the rest of those there. And then it provides the student or user with a ranking. And so this account really ranks very high in coworkers and variety, and kind of almost to the high category, but medium in prestige. But when you click on it, it's going to give you some information about what does that mean. If you value coworkers, it means that you work with helpful and trustworthy people on the job, and it's enjoyable enough to possibly even want to be friends with them. So if I value that, how do I make sure that I can get that at this particular company or within this particular occupation? And so it really talks to the students about, here's how you're going to find those answers out. Here's how you're going to advocate yourself. And here's the questions you're going to ask and the research that you're going to do. And so I think that is even fun as you get started as a school staff in utilizing OKCareerGuide at looking at your work values. I can see you pairing students together so that they're practicing communication and cooperation with each other and collaborating to talk about what does it mean to be someone who values coworkers. That's a high category. And then having them kind of compare that to folks who really marked independence high, because folks that value independence and folks that value coworkers, they're kind of looking for different things. Having independence in my job means that I'm trusted to make many decisions on my own and that I do not have to constantly report to a supervisor. Wow, that's really important as we talk to students about figuring out what occupation they're going to be really good at and what they would like. This person needs to have their own projects. They need to be able to report back in, but kind of have some autonomy there. And so talking to them about how do we make sure that we find the right place for you. So I don't think we dig into that work values enough, and it's even fun to do with your staff at your school. The other thing as we move forward and students move forward in their process and they're getting towards the end of high school and they're even transitioning to post-secondary is really building these portfolio items. And so because all of the things on here on the left-hand side, all of these things build to create this My eProfile. And if I click on this My eProfile and we preview it, you've seen this before in that presentation, but here's an all about me with this student. And so they can upload a professional picture, they can put their LinkedIn account up here as well as Twitter and other things. But from here, as students are starting, I would have them use this and talk about who they are and what they want to do. As they begin to exit and prepare for post-secondary, I'd have them click on resume, begin to upload their resume, begin to enter their references, and then any work things that they have done, things that highlight their work quality or projects they're really proud of, they can put those in here and it'll take it to them, to that document and upload it there. And so I actually use this myself professionally. Adults have access to this as well. If I was back at a school site, this is how I would be introducing myself to students. So when they walk into my class that first day, they're not going to see the Tester 101 profile, but they are going to see Erica Harris's profile. And I'm going to show them how my occupation is very important. And it's very important that I continue to get certifications and showing them how I do that. And then while you're here in this program, we're going to help you upload things to My Documents you're going to exit and leave us with an e-profile that you can send out to employers and that you can use to highlight yourself and what it is that you're doing in your career development process. So I really love the e-profile and the things that it could do. And so you saw the preview, but see, they can control this here. She can enter in her Twitter or her LinkedIn if she wants to, simply by checking on these boxes. As this student moves along, probably not so appropriate to share your favorite occupations or favorite schools, but then you're going to start to include more things with your references and any documents that you've put in. I am kind of curious as to what other type of assessments you give students within your program. It's been quite a while since I was in alt ed. At that time, we were giving the TABE test. So if some of you could type into the chat box what other type of assessments you're giving students. When you click on this My Assessment links, of course, we have the 3 assessments inside OKCareerGuide platform, and you will find those under My Assessments. But there are other things that we give students that help them determine where it is they're going to go. And so if they'll click on this My External Assessments, this is where they can begin to enter those. So ASVAB, that's a really popular one. That might be something you're already giving students, and so they can enter in their scores and keep those. Those are all things that are involved in this career development process. Maybe you give them the work keys assessment. They can save that there. There's a place for additional assessments. So when I was back at a school site, we did multiple intelligences and colors. Myers-Briggs would be a great one. That could be entered here. Anything that helps a student determine who they are and what direction they are going could be entered in here. So if it was back in my day, the TABE test could be entered in here and they could save it as well as any certifications that they get while they're in your program. So if there are very specific certifications that they receive at the Tech Center or that they complete on their own or at your site, they can upload these into My Documents. And so you can see this account has several documents here. If they get a CPR certification or a food handling certification or just a basic work skills certification that your community has come up with, this would be a great place to put that there. So it looks like we have about 3 more minutes. Are there any questions?
I was watching from behind and I didn't see anything yet.
Okay.
They've been very quiet.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any questions either. And I'm looking at my notes. I appear to have gone over most of the things that I really wanted to mention to you. I'm going to log out of this account because when I go back to OKCareerGuide, I want to remind you that if they create an account for the first time, they're going to click on this gray button. And if they already have an account, they can click on this Sign In button. But the other thing that's great are these training and tutorials that are down here under this tab. And so if you click on this Video Tutorials, it's going to take you to our YouTube page. And this one right here, this number 5, Oklahoma Career Guide Navigator User Tutorial, that's 23 minutes. This is a great overview if you're a repeat learner like I am and you need to go back and think, what did she say? This is a place for you to view that later at your own time frame and on-demand learning needs. Well, it doesn't look like we have any more questions. I appreciate the State Department of Education having us here today, and good luck to you. As always, please reach out to us if you have any questions about how to move forward with this with your students. I'm going to pop up, well, maybe not.
Should have right there on the projection.
This one?
There you go.
Our contact information one more time so that you can contact us. Thanks so much.